Sonja has invested in over 50 companies. Please welcome Sonja to our stage.
When I was a girl, my favorite time of day was when my dad came home for dinner. I was about 9 or 10 and technically the middle child. I had an older sister and a twin who was younger by 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And yes, I was even competitive then. My dad was a professor of civil engineering at the University of Virginia, though I'm pretty sure my mother had the harder job. She was raising 3 girls, maintaining an impeccable home, and entertaining friends and academics from around the world. The reason why I remember these moments so well is the way they unfolded. It was a very deliberate ritual. After a long day with his students and research, my dad would come home, and we couldn't wait to welcome him when he came through the door. And after untangling himself from our hugs and our kisses and our dog, he'd share a Manhattan with my mother, half whiskey, half sweet vermouth. And then he would strategically place us around the dinner table to promote the best conversation. And looking back, I realized this was a ritual my dad created so each of his girls could be heard. He made me feel like my voice mattered. I have been a very successful venture capitalist during the last 30 years in the very competitive male-dominated industry. My investment decisions have generated billions of dollars in market cap, and they have changed the lives of people for the better. And for the most part, I've actually never thought about my gender. It didn't have a place in my decision-making or how I worked. I didn't think of it as an advantage or a handicap. I just thought people were people, and that discrimination only showed up when you were looking for it. But in 2008, everything changed. I found a lump under my arm that turned out to be a very aggressive form of breast cancer, and I was required to take a lot of time off of work. At the same time, I became a mom. Almost overnight, I went from the fast-paced, high-power world of venture capital deal-making to fighting for my life and caring for a newborn. When I returned to work after chemotherapy and parenting, I faced a painful reality. The venture capital industry no longer worked for me. It was really hard to admit it then, and it's still really hard to admit it now. Because I wanted to believe that the venture capital industry was open to everybody. But the system of venture capital is broken. And here is why. 9 out of 10 decision makers are men, and their decisions are exclusively filtered through their male point of view, through their male values, their male experiences, and their male friendships. And because their point of view is limited only to the world they know, ideas and entrepreneurs who represent the broader world, their ideas can't get in. Success in venture capital is not gender neutral. In 2017, venture capitalists invested $85 billion, and only 2% of that went to women. And the checks to female entrepreneurs were 60% less than the checks to male entrepreneurs. And while this is somewhat disheartening, the real issue is this. When I first became a venture capitalist, 1 in 10 deal makers was a woman. And 30 years later, the number hasn't budged. In fact, it's even declined. There's just no other way to say it. Venture capital does not value female voices, and we know this because there aren't enough female voices in venture capital. Now, we can talk rationally about fair representation, that women make up 50% of the population, so they should at least warrant 50% of the dollars. We can talk rationally about how 85% of household purchases are made by women, so businesses we fund should at least address those unique needs. And we can talk rationally about how female-led venture capital-backed businesses outperform male-led venture capital-performed businesses by 2.5 times. So 2.5 times more revenue for every dollar invested. But these very rational, very smart arguments are not the burning issue. The burning issue is not about fairness. It is not about markets. It is not about purchasing power. It's not even about relative performance between men and women. The real issue at stake is much simpler and much bigger than that. What kind of world do we want to live in? The male-dominated world of venture capital has brought us great things over the last 30 years. It has brought us convenience, productivity, and connection. But it has also brought us platforms where women, minorities, and LGBTQ communities are open to online abuse, where children are developing addictive and antisocial behaviors and are also vulnerable to exploitation, where democracies that have historically worked well together are being divided by misinformation and fear, and where there is a lack of diversity among decision makers in venture capital, there is a lack of diversity in values and the companies we invest in. And where there is lack of diversity in values, we set a much lower bar for success. And in the case of investment decisions made by the male-dominated venture capital industry, that bar is mostly financial. It's why we justify funding businesses that are good for our portfolio, but potentially harmful for society. We need a better model of investing that reflects the people and the world we live in today. To me, venture capital is so much more than money. It is about creating the future. It's about creating a world that is safe and joyful for my daughter, where her words can be heard. It is about investing in what is good financially and socially. And women, I would argue, are a lot like me. As entrepreneurs, investors, and customers, we make decisions that value both our wallets and our world. I love venture capital. And when I left my firm, I was not ready to leave the industry. I still wanted to invest, but I did not want to do it alone. I also wanted to see what it would be like to work with women, just like me. So I reached out to two of the most successful women venture capitalists I knew. They, too, had also left their traditional venture capital firms. Magdalena Yassel was the first investor and board member of Salesforce. And Jennifer Fonstead is the founder of Aspect Ventures, the largest female-led venture capital firm in the world. And together, we created Broadway Angels. Broadway Angels isn't a venture fund in the traditional sense. It is a rigorous network of top female venture capitalists and top female entrepreneurs who share deals and due diligence. We pool our networks, we pool our deal flow, and we invest as individuals through our diverse individual funds. And in the 10 years of this experience, one thing has become very clear. Our portfolio decisions reflect our personal values as women in the many roles we play. We are mothers who want to raise our children with healthy food and nutrition. We are business women who want the internet to be secure and efficient. We are investors who want financial independence and long-term financial security. We are fashion lovers who want both comfort and style. We are environmentalists who want to minimize our ecological footprint. And we are global citizens who want clean water for everyone on the planet. And we are mothers who want safe and convenient childcare. These are the things we value in the many roles we play as women. Together, we are starting and funding real businesses that deliver real returns while making the world a better place. And our performance? It's as good or better than top venture capital firms. It might be more challenging to find and fund companies that promise both financial returns and social good. Raising the bar is never easy, but it is necessary. Delivering on both creates new investment profiles and higher hurdles for new ideas and business models. But isn't it worth it? Isn't our environment worth it? Aren't our children worth it? Aren't we worth it? We need more women in venture capital. That is the one message I want you to remember today. And why? Because women value different things. And when more women make more of the investment decisions in companies that reflect their values, their decisions will lead to a better and lasting world. Thank you. Thank you.